All right, so today we're talking about elasticity of demand. So elasticity, like I said, can be related to more than just demand, but today we're talking about just for demand. So elasticity of demand is looking at how sensitive quantity demand is to a change in price. Now, we already know from the law of demand that when the price goes up, what happens to our quantity demand? It goes down. As the price goes down, quantity demand will go up. We already knew that, right? Okay? We already knew that. That's not what we're talking about with elasticity. What we're talking about is how sensitive it is. Okay? So what we mean by this is that if we go and have 50% off sale in a store, are we going to have a madhouse? We're going to be stampeded by the number of customers in our store? Or are people really not going to care and be like, oh, well, no big deal. Okay, and there's going to be a little bit more customers, but they're not going to change a whole lot. Okay, there is a difference. Okay, so first of all, we have to talk about categories of elasticity. So there are 3 categories of elasticity. The first category is what we call elastic. And yes, it is in bold, it is in green, that means it is a term and it will more than likely show up in the matching section of your quiz next week. So, elastic, what this means is that we are very sensitive to a change in price. So, as the price changes a little, people will flip out. You're going to have mad groves of people if you're going to decrease the price, and if you're increasing the price, you're going to have crickets. No one's there. Okay? Elastic changes a lot. When you think of the word elastic, what do you think of? Rubber bands. So I have a rubber band here, okay? You can think of elastic as being very stretchy rubber band, okay? It's a very stretchy rubber band. Our quantity demand stretches a lot. It responds a lot to a change in price, okay? We react a lot, okay? There are a lot of things that are elastic, okay? If you're talking about going and buying clothes, clothes are a perfect example of something that is very elastic. We are very responsive to a change in price. The price changes a little, people will change their quantity demand by quite a bit. Okay? So the opposite is then inelastic. So elastic, inelastic. Inelastic is going to be a change in price. This is a smaller change in. So when we have something that is inelastic, this is going to be where you're going to change the price a lot. 70% off sale. And you'll have an increase in demand by a teeny tiny little bit. People don't respond a whole lot when you have an inelastic demand. Okay? Again, you can think of that rubber band, but it's one of those really small rubber bands, the really tough rubber bands. They don't move a whole lot. Still moves, still stretches a little bit, but it's not as big as the elastic where it stretches a ton and our quantity demand is going, okay? Inelastic is going to be where it just moves like this and it kind of just moves a tiny, tiny little bit, okay? So inelastic is going to be obviously the opposite of elastic. So other examples of how this happens. Okay, if we, for example, had that 50% off sale, okay, we have that 50% off sale, and we have our demand increase, and demand increases by 70%. Is this going to be elastic or inelastic? Are we moving our quantity a lot or very little? Is our quantity moving a lot or a little? A lot. It's moving by more than the percentage change in price. Okay? So as a result, this is more elastic. Okay? So if we have that 50% off sale and we have droves of people showing up, okay, at our store, this is going to be very elastic. Like I said, when you're talking about clothes, this is a perfect. All right, inelastic, on the other hand, is going to be where you're not sensitive to a change in price. So maybe the price goes down by 50%, just like when we had that elastic price going down by 50%, but our quantity will change and will go up by only, say, 30%. Notice that our quantity is increasing still, okay? We already know from the law of demand it's still going to increase, but it's just going to increase a very small amount. Okay? This would be for things that are basic necessities. Basic necessities. Like, for example, milk. Okay? All of you probably have at least some sort of milk in your fridge at home, right? Everybody usually has some sort of milk. Okay? As the price changes and fluctuates, it really doesn't affect our demand too much. Okay? Yeah, maybe I'll buy a little bit more than I would have if the price drops. But it's not like I can go and buy a whole lot of it, because number one, I can't drink it that fast. It'll spoil, okay? But number two, it doesn't, it's a staple. I'm always going to buy it. It doesn't really matter, okay? So keep in mind that Inelastic, okay, these are things that are not very sensitive. So you will have that 50% off sale, woohoo! And you'll have like 3 people, okay? So it's not going to be a huge change, okay? So you got to keep in mind, difference between these two, Elastic, people respond a lot. They're very sensitive to a change in price. Inelastic, don't really care. I'd buy it no matter what. No big deal, okay? Third category is unit elastic. This is a change in price causes a proportional change in quantity demand to go up, okay? So in this case, with unit elastic, we have like the exact same thing happening. So you will have that, say, 50% off sale, okay? Price goes down 50%, and your quantity demand will go up. Anybody want to guess the percentage of the quantity demand will go up? No, it always will go up.
3.
No, that would be inelastic. Quantity demand goes up by 50%, exactly 50%. It's proportional because of the fact that they're not going in the same direction, but it will, a 50% drop in sales will cause a 50% increase in quantity, a 50% increase in number of people in there. So you have that 50% off sale, and you have 5 more people than you normally have. It's going to be an exactly proportional. You drop it 50%, you're going to see people. 50% more people in your store, okay? Now, this is not, there's not a specific product that is always unit elastic. I could rattle off a whole bunch of different products for elastic and inelastic, but there is nothing that is always unit elastic. What you will find when we talk about how to determine if something is elastic or inelastic or unit elastic is that you will find that there will be points on a demand curve where they will be unit elastic, okay? But there's nothing that is always unit elastic. All right, so those are the 3 categories. I think I have time to be able to talk about one way to determine if something is one of these 3. So I'll talk about one way and then we'll quit. So how do you determine elasticity? Well, there's actually 3 ways to determine elasticity and if something is elastic, inelastic, or unit elastic. I'm going to teach you about 2. One of them that is in the book, I decided I don't want to teach you because of the fact that I think some of you would have a hard time with it. So I'm just going to axe it. We're just going to talk about the 2 easier ones. Okay, so how do you determine elasticity? The first way to determine elasticity is through what we call the total revenue test. Okay, now first of all, you need to know what total revenue is. So notice total revenue is in bold and green. It's a term, so it could appear on the matching section of your quiz. So total revenue, I put in parentheses, it says money made from selling a product. Okay, so you can tell this on a demand curve by basically taking your price, however much you're charging for your product, and multiplying it by the quantity, however many products you're going to sell at that particular price. And that will give you your revenue, how much money you make from selling it. Now, the total revenue test to determine elasticity, you have to find the total revenue, price times quantity, at 2 particular points on the curve, and then you compare them. Okay, so you're going to take 2 points on your demand curve, you're going to find the total revenue at those 2 points, and you're going to compare them. And that will tell you if something is elastic, inelastic, or unit elastic. So I'll tell you how to find out if something is elastic, and then we'll quit. Okay? So elastic if you have an elastic demand curve, your total revenue and price are inversely related between 2 points. Remember, what does inverse mean? Opposite. They go in opposite directions. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so how this works. First of all, you're going to draw your demand curve. So yes, draw this graph. Because if you don't, later on, you're not going to remember what the heck that definition means. Now, when you're drawing your graph, be mindful of what is my demand curve actually looking like. Okay, so don't just draw a, straight diagonal line. Notice that my slope of my demand curve, okay, it's kind of almost horizontal. Okay? When you have an elastic demand curve, it's going to look like that. It's going to be almost horizontal. Because what you will see is that as the price fluctuates and changes just a little bit, our quantity is going to go all the way out of whack and it's going to react a lot. Okay? So, we're going to pick out 2 points on our demand curve. So we're going to pick out point A here and point B there. Okay? So put on there point A and point B. Now, at point A, we are going to say the price of point A is $25. Okay, so the price at point A is $25. At point A, we're going to say that at $25, we're going to say that there are 5 people willing to buy this product. I didn't even give a name of what this product is. It doesn't really matter. Now, if I am finding the total revenue, I am multiplying price times quantity. So I'm taking 25 times 5, and what's our total revenue then? What is it? 125. 25 times 5 is 125. So by point A, I'm going to put total expenditure, TE. I'm sorry, it should be total revenue. I can keep doing this. TR is 125. TR is 125. Now, for point B, okay, point B, the price is $20. Because notice that there's really not a whole lot of difference in the price here. Okay, so point B, the price is $20. And at point B, we're going to say that there are 15 people willing to buy this product at $20. So again, we have to find the total revenue. So, total revenue at point B is price times quantity. So, point B, the price is $20 and the quantity is 15. So, 20 times 15, anybody? $300. So, you can write by point B, the TR is $300. Okay, so how does this tell us it's elastic? All right, well, going from point A to point B, from A to B, what happened to my price? This goes down, because remember, price is over here. It goes from $20, $25 to $20. So my price goes down, okay? But what happened to my total revenue from A to B? It increased, because remember, total revenue is over here. So total revenue is 125 at point A and 300 at point B. So our total revenue went up. So price went down, total revenue went up. They go in opposite directions, so therefore this is elastic. Do you see it? Kind of, sort of, maybe? Okay, anybody have any questions about this? Okay, on Monday we're going to talk about how to find if it's inelastic and unit elastic using the total revenue test. And then I'll tell you about one other way, a way without any graphs on how to determine something is elastic or inelastic. All right.